because I got to get used to being recorded again. So, for this edition of Week by Week, we are going to be talking about a few things that small businesses and really any business can do. But I feel like right now with COVID and the pandemic, it's just those are the little guys are getting hit the hardest right now. And so anything we can do to like guide them to a few ways to make their lives easier and expand business is exactly what we want to do right now. Hey everybody, this is Taylin at Creative Arcade, and this Week by Week, we are talking about small business and COVID-19. If you're new to our Week by Week series, this is something we introduced because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We found that things were changing so quickly, we just needed to examine marketing on a week-by-week basis. Any questions before we get started, Jeff?
No, this is good, because things are always changing, and especially with COVID, obviously, but, just as we enter a different season, obviously the holidays are coming up, how that may or COVID is going to obviously affect that in a lot of different ways that we're probably not even aware of yet. So anything that you can start doing now, I think makes a lot of sense to prepare yourself. So especially as a business owner.
Yep. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is utilizing e-commerce. So one of the biggest things that's going to probably be happening especially like restaurants and those smaller businesses that feature people inside, they're just not going to be able to have as many customers without that
Right.
Utilizing like the outside space as much. It's just going to get too cold. And there's some hardy Minnesotans who are up for the challenge and hardy, people in the Midwest. But as far as the customer base, it's bound to go down. So one of the ways you can kind of combat that is make sure any product that can be sold online is online. So one of the ways you can do that is installing Shopify and adding like a takeout ordering function if you haven't already. Can you tell us a little bit about Shopify, Jeff?
Yeah, Shopify is one of many platforms that you can use for e-commerce. We at Creative Arcade, we've just chosen to use Shopify whenever we can. It's just a great all-around product. Biggest thing with Shopify is that it allows a lot of as far as having like your payment processing and things of actually processing payment for specific products or services through it. If Shopify has its own processing piece inside of it. You can still use other ones as well, but it's just a nice way to keep it all in one specific thing to manage from a content standpoint, from product standpoint, from inventory, all those types of things that you might be doing with an e-commerce site versus a regular website. So it's just an all-around great platform to use. It's also become kind of the norm, especially for startups and for smaller brands. They seem to. I actually find that if it's an e-commerce kind of startup or smaller brand, and if they're not using Shopify, I kind of question why. So it's become kind of it's almost like if you mean business, you're on Shopify with that.
Oh, okay.
That's not to say though, like WooCommerce, which is the plugin used for any WordPress-based sites, isn't good. We have done those sites as well. We would recommend that in the right format, especially obviously in WordPress. That's their piece that actually integrates really well with that. But that's a good one as well too. But anytime we can, we try to use Shopify. So
good to know. And
yeah.
Just thinking out loud here, say you're a restaurant that just is, you're not going to have the numbers that you had in the summer due to the weather. Is there some ways, like some things you can sell using like, this online ordering form? Like, can you, maybe one of your 5 most popular meals, you build like a meal kit and then you enable people to buy it online.
Again, to use Shopify as an example, they have a lot of, especially if you're on a budget too, I forgot to mention that, but in this kind of, if you think about that, you can actually create smaller stores with canned themes that are just, they're beautiful. They integrate really well. You don't have to see, build it inside of what you already have, although you can. But yeah, you could create on any kind of like specific, like you said, your top 5 meal type things, which is more of a meal that might include a lot of different things. Maybe it feeds a certain amount of people, etc. You could do that and easily get that up very quickly, manage it all right from there. And there's also add-on apps and plugins for Shopify. So if you have very specific functionality that you're looking for or need, especially when it comes to maybe some of that curbside type thing, it probably exists or you can find it. So yeah, great platform. And yeah, the sky's the limit really when you think about what you could do with that. And I think if you got creative, you can find a nice efficient way to not only sell food online, but then deliver that really quickly. So
Nice. And kind of hitting on this takeout ordering function, something I've noticed and this kind of leads into our next topic of really keeping Google Business updated, is that's a really easy way to tell people you do takeout, is you can update that on Google. And me and most people I know do use Google first to look up businesses, to find out where they are they open, what rules do they have in place right now. So if you give people all that info up front, it's just really going to help them understand if you're the right choice for them at that point.
And real quick, I think Google, if I remember right, they actually have kind of a coronavirus like initiative where they've actually taken a lot of their products and packaged them in ways that would be beneficial to small businesses that might need help with that. So I think, and I'm not sure of all the where it is, but I'm sure if you Google it, you could probably find it related to that. But yeah, no, I think it's here's the thing, local the local listings in general, the last bunch of years it's always been a feast or famine type thing for how effective it is, only because a lot of people don't know how to that maybe they have a listing and didn't even know it. Or maybe the first time they actually know they have a Google listing is because someone may have left a bad review or something, which is unfortunate, and then they try to figure out how to make that either go away or how to make it better. But it's funny, Google is probably the number one, and then all your major search engines that also list your not your hours and your times and all that kind of stuff, but your Yelps, your Foursquare, those types of other apps out there that are basically location-based things for businesses and rating services. Those are ones also that people don't always think about as being important.
That's true. You bring up a really good point that, it isn't just Google. Actually, it is, you should keep an eye out in all those places that people are searching for you.
Right. So yeah, I think everything kind of begins and ends with Google for the most part, but there's a lot of other things out there being used, and those things have to be considered. One of the tools I know out there that can be really helpful and keep making sure your things are correct is Moz Local. So Moz is a California-based company. Rand Fishkin, I don't know if you know him, but Rand Fishkin, he started that company. But it's started as more of an SEO-based software as a service to help you with your SEO for your websites, etc. But as we all know, there's a nice tie between not only search engine and search, but obviously Google listings and other listings like this that we're talking about. And so they have a product that they've added on to their other services and products called Moz Local, and it allows you to quickly kind of aggregate all the places your listing is, and it kind of gives you a score. So it kind of shows you like where you're doing okay and where you're not, and you can kind of make the decision that if I'm going to, go and log into Foursquare and figure that out or not, because you might say, well, I just worry about the biggies, the Googles and the Facebooks and all those types of places. They do look for all those. But then you're able to actually use the tool to then go in and fix those things and make things better and fill those other things out. So it's a great service. It's not overly, I shouldn't say it's expensive, but it's not exactly cheap either. I think it's like $150 a year, roughly, give or take, based on the plan you choose. So, so there's a small cost to having that, but if you think about the accuracy of your information online, is $150 a year worthwhile? Probably. So, there are tools out there. Or obviously, if you're in tune and savvy enough where you're going to log in to your Google account and make sure those things are up to date, or utilize those more. You can do this more organically too, but having a thing like Moz Local that helps you kind of like save some time, because you can kind of check on all those places that you maybe aren't even thinking of
Yeah.
quickly. Because a lot of times too, you might be on Google or whatever, but those other places, just because you exist on the internet, they're going to just aggregate you as being a listing, and then it's kind of a crapshoot whether it's correct or not.
Oh,
So
okay.
whether you want to or not, you don't necessarily always have a choice in that. So that's where you kind of have to care at least a little bit when it comes to that, to make sure your stuff's correct. So, yeah.
Nice. Cool. Thank you for letting me know about that.
Yeah.
Um, the last thing I was going to talk about is video, because it's just only becoming more prevalent right now. Um,
Yeah,
so
I feel like I should have a video camera like cupped to my hand at all times, like I don't know, like
oh,
a
I know, to
tool.
capture everything.
Yeah, it just kind
Yeah.
of stays on your arm all the time, so you can just go ooh and just
Well, it'd be
start
pretty
typing.
boring right now. It'd be like, fall leaves, back to my house, in
Right.
my house, daily walk, back to my house. But just to like, even how weird how the week by week series is kind of involved or evolved now. When we started this, it was a blog, and as we started to learn ourselves, follow inbound best practices of just, create as much content out of one piece of content as you can. It was
Right.
like, well, why don't we take these blog posts and we start recording us talking about them?
Right.
Because even from this discussion, like, I'm going to go back to the blog post and I'm going to be adding stuff about, Moz Local and
Right.
Shopify, and it it's just like, so the just we're getting more content. Not only that, but we're also learning because we're having these discussions. So,
Right.
but yes, back to the point is that, video is just such a useful platform right now. So especially, I don't know, it's right now it's hard, and people are looking for entertainment and escapism. And if that brand of positivity and helpfulness and hopefulness is, suits your brand, and you can utilize that with video, it's gonna do well for you, I believe. And
Yeah,
then,
I think too. I mean, obviously this last summer, last probably 4 months, people have been venturing out more. Sorry, my dog's barking outside. Um, what was I saying? Oh, no, just the fact that we've been able to kind of leave quarantine, if you will, for a while and interact a little bit more, um, which has been nice. Obviously, we're also having some challenges with that, but I think to your point, especially as we enter into the winter here now, and we're going back inside, we're probably going to be able to see each other less and less. So, using video and using the things that we're probably used to from last spring and dealing with COVID are going to become even more important again. So, yeah, I
yep.
think anytime you can use the video aspect to try and have that human connection still with everyone, whatever way that is, whether that's live through Zoom, or if it is recording something with your phone, or recording through other methods, and sharing those in online places like social, etc. Or I think it's going to be good. And to your point too, video has always been such a great universal tool since more people have gone online, in the last 10 years. Every year it's like there's huge growth in video and use of video, and it's because it's the most universal platform. Like, to your point, you shoot a video, now you can cut that up in a lot of different ways. You can have a long form, a short form, you can put parts of it on your Instagram story, you can put them on Reels now, you can put them on TikTok, you can use TikTok as a platform and share them in other ways. You can put them on
Yep.
Facebook, you can strip audio out of it, make a podcast out of it. You can, it's such a great tool from a marketing aspect to hit a lot of different places and maybe make your budget go a little farther. That's one thing that we've always told clients is yes, video, especially if it's shot well, and have the right tools in place to capture good audio and capture good video, there is a cost to it. But when you look at how you can make that kind of work for you and you break those things out, if you think about if you had to create all those things separately, it's probably a wash, or you're probably actually saving money, to be honest. And so it is probably the best return on your investment you're going to find is using video for as far as content goes. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I would tell people, like, don't be afraid to start using, start video using your phone, because you're only going to learn about what works and what doesn't work by experimenting and what works for your brand.
I think it's also like anything, you got to just know like where you kind of see it living, if it's going to be on social stuff anyways, I think a phone is just fine.
Yeah. But it's when you get like bigger screens and.
Yeah, it would be my first choice for a television spot, but honestly, the video is good enough. You probably could get away with that if you really had to.
And if it was on brand.
Yeah, I'm not promoting it that way. I always think obviously shooting it the other way is better, but just when you think about your audience and where things are going to be being seen, you can make that call. What's the right tool set to do it? It's become more DIY than ever. Obviously, having phones and things that shoot some pretty amazing video and or photos. It's amazing, so.
Yeah. And it comes down to a mix, because, you do your more when you can. And I think right now is such an exception to usual times that the lower quality is more acceptable right now.
I think it's very acceptable. Yeah.
But that being said, like sometimes it does take a little extra thought and creativity to push that. You need a better, bigger idea to make a lower quality video really stand out.
Yep.
But sometimes it can be like weird flukes in the universe. And I shouldn't say a fluke, but like just an example of that is like just this last week, a guy was just skateboarding and drinking like I think it's ocean spray, cranberry juice. And like he filmed it, put it on TikTok with like, I'm going to forget the band name, but Dreams by,
You mentioned this earlier.
Rumors. What's their album?
Oh, Fleetwood Mac.
Yes. Fleetwood Mac. And like, it just like, of course, went viral. And then sales of the song have exploded, which is crazy because that song's from like the 70s.
Yeah.
But it's a good song. And then Ocean Spray got in on it and had their like CEO put out a TikTok for his first TikTok of him doing the exact same thing and just being like, hey, buddy. And then they sent this guy a free truck, and then all the like ocean spray juice he could get. And it's just like turned into this huge PR thing for the company, for this guy. And it's just, I don't know. It's the power of video, and even a less than 15-second video can change the whole story of the brand.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So just, it's also like I guess it comes down to like, also keep your eye out for influencers, or not even intentional influencers, and build on that when the opportunity arises.
Yeah, it's amazing how that stuff happens sometimes. The viral nature of, when I say that, I don't necessarily mean just the way people probably think of being viral, but some of those things, especially on those niche type pieces, like just interacting and being social on social media can draw a lot of interest to you and your brand too, if you just care enough to not only promote yourself, but things that are maybe closely related to you and your business, that you even interact in a way that and that can be a variety of ways, but where that can come back and be powerful in many ways. So yeah, just interacting and being aware of those things is very helpful. So
yeah, so that's what I've got. I think we've touched on a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to add to this discussion?
No, I think it's good, and I'm glad we're doing it again a little bit. We took a little break there for a couple of weeks, but I think it's important to keep thinking of ways, and every week's different. That's life, but especially now in COVID, I feel like things change so often that what worked 2 months or 3 months ago might not necessarily be the next thing that works right now or going into the holidays, or insert time of year here, especially while we're dealing with the pandemic still, which sounds like we might be dealing with for at least another year, maybe even longer. Unfortunately, the more I've been hearing from people, this might turn into something that we're just always dealing with. Obviously not to the impact we've had in the last 6 months or so, but this might be the new norm. So, it's just more important than ever to just keep thinking of ways that you can, or even be reminded. Like even a lot of what we talk about today is even just reminding ourselves of some of the things that are going to be useful in continuing to fight, if you will, the marketing fight during COVID. So yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, that's good. So thanks for bringing those things up again. I think it's good that we continue to talk about those, and some might be only seeing this for the first time, might not have seen it the last time we talked about some of these things back last spring, and might be going, oh yeah, this is good. This is what we need right now. So it's good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, especially on a Friday afternoon.
72 degrees out.
I know.
In October.
Oh, might have to jump in the lake. Never know.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. It'll literally be cool. Yeah. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope this was helpful to anyone who is listening. And of course, if you have any further questions or you want to know more about any of the things we discussed, feel free to reach out to us. We'll add info at creativearcade.design is a good way to reach us. Thanks again for listening, and have a good weekend, everybody.
Talk soon.
Talk soon.